how are you?
Hi Maria, we are good and you?
I'm good too. Every time we gather with our youth club at Caritas head office and discuss new ideas on raising awareness about inclusion at schools and in our community, I feel much stronger. The new academic year has begun. It's going to be another interesting and hardworking year.
Maria, due to using some assistive devices, I feel that I study better at school. Thus, I can understand what inclusive education is about. Obviously, it is for everyone, regardless of their physical and mental abilities. However, recently I was thinking if there is a lot of disagreement about inclusive education between elderly and younger generations living in our city, Gyumri.
It is interesting indeed. I have never thought about it.
So why don't we go and find it out by ourselves? Let's make a podcast about this. We are peer educators and we are voicing out the importance of inclusive education in our schools. And now we can go out in the street and talk to people. Besides, very few podcasts are being recorded in our country about inclusion. It's a good opportunity to contribute to the development of local podcast production in terms of the inclusion topic.
I agree. For this podcast, we will find out the awareness level of citizens by their age. It is interesting how much they are familiar with inclusive education. In my opinion, it will be pretty interesting for us as well. Just give me a minute to take the audio recorder and we can go to the center of the city.
Nice. Well, let's not lose time and get started. I'm sure we will find the answers of our questions. Now we are at Vartanan Square of Gyumri city, where we are going to conduct a little Vox Pop about inclusive education.
Hi, we are volunteers and youth club members of Armenian Caritas project My Right, Inclusive Education in Armenia. I'm Maria, I'm Tamara, and I'm Lida. We are recording our first podcast on inclusive education, and thus we would like to ask you a couple of questions. What do you think if a child with disability has a right to attend public school with everyone else? By considering the fact that the Republic of Armenia has adopted all inclusion, I acknowledge myself as a big fan of all inclusion and inclusive education.
Yes, the child has that right no matter if they have problems or not.
I have positive opinion about it. A child with a disability must definitely study at school.
How that kind of child can study in normal school with other children? Those children apparently are communicating and interacting with us on the level of daily routine. But when we speak of education, I think specially trained high professionals must teach them.
Absolutely, it's their right. However, before accepting children with disabilities, the schools must train their staff so that the specialists gain enough knowledge and skills to treat children well and not to harm them.
I think that it's more than normal and natural. For example, as we have right to life, in the same logic everyone has right to education.
It depends on the type of disability and also on the issue to which extent they are able to be socially included in public places. They may affect the psychology of other children studying in the same class.
All children have right to education, no matter they have disabilities or not. That's not an issue.
Yes, children with disabilities have right to study at public school, but I don't agree when they study together with the other children. I'm very happy about the law adopted by the state. I believe that all children with disabilities have right to be full members of our society.
Իսկ ինչ է ներառական
And what is inclusive education? To be honest, I would not use the term inclusive education. I would neither go deep into it. Especially people from elder generation have a wrong association about that term. As soon as they come across with the word inclusion, they think those children have many problems, are not healthy, etc. But it's not true. Inclusive education is for not developed children, those with some mental problems.
It's the adaptation of the educational system based on the needs of every person.
It's a type of education that gives a chance to children with disabilities to step forward equally with everyone else. It's an opportunity that is given to everyone to learn together.
It's an educational system that gives a chance to everyone to get education in spite of their differences.
I think for today it's enough. What do you think?
I think you are right. Besides, it's becoming very hot. We can go to the nearest cafe, take a cup of coffee, and discuss the results.
Let's go. We heard many opinions which were even surprising, didn't we?
Sure, especially those unrealistic thoughts about inclusive education.
But also, let's not forget that the majority of the respondents were well aware of inclusive education and made reasonable comments. Some of them knew that getting education is the right of children.
Maria, I think now it's time to say the results.
Exactly. So, I divided our respondents into 3 age groups, 14 to 30, 30 to 50, and 50 plus. Out of the 35 respondents, almost equal number of people belong to those 3 age groups. To the question of whether children with disabilities should study in a public school together with everyone else, 30 people gave positive answers. Most of them were young people. As for the question, what is inclusive education, 19 people answered that it is a type of education which is for everyone. So, we can say that more than a half of the respondents are holding an opinion that inclusive education should be for everyone.
The indicators were positively surprising to me, so I think the picture is not as bad as it seemed to me. Our results show that young people are more aware and consider it right that a child with disabilities should attend school and get education. Just as information, I should also mention that a law on all-inclusive education was adopted in the Republic of Armenia in 2014, and already in 2019, the entire Shirok province where we are coming from switched to all-inclusive education program.
Yes, according to the amendments and additions made to the law on public education in 2014, the all-inclusive education system will be introduced in the country by August 1st, 2025.
Currently, only 291 of 1,464 schools in Armenia are officially considered to be providing inclusive education.
Tamara, I hope that people listen to our podcast with interest and discovered something new there.
I hope too, Maria. Well, and now let's finally have our coffee.